It was an ordinary day. Mr. Gray was a very busy man. He didn't have time for details or planning ahead. He had a busy job. If things needed doing, he got people in and took the view that they should be jolly grateful. Mrs. Bright was busy too, but she was organised, so she always seemed relaxed. Mr. Tennant had only just moved in. Nobody knew anything about him. But on this ordinary day, there was a problem. The houses had been built with the same heating systems, but the pipework hadn't been done very well. It started in Mr. Gray's house, a faint drip, drip, drip. Mr. Gray was too busy to bother about it, so he did nothing. The next day, there was a drip, drip, drip in Mrs. Bright's house, and Mrs. Bright looked to see where it was coming from. Then there was a drip, drip, drip in Mr. Tennant's house. Suddenly, there was a bang in Mr. Gray's house, and then a bang in Mrs. Bright's house, and a bang in Mr. Tennant's house. This was becoming a rather big problem. Mr. Gray had the number of a plumber somewhere, but he couldn't find it, so he found one on the internet, but there was no answer. "Confound it!" shouted Mr. Gray. By the time he got hold of someone at his insurance company, he was really, really angry, so angry that he couldn't explain what the problem was. Mrs. Bright knew just what to do. Mr. Tennant had no idea what to do, so he phoned the letting agent. Mrs. Bright went on to her iPad. Her plumber had shown her iProperty log on his last visit and uploaded all the information about her house, so that the plumber, the electrician, and the decorator would all know what was what and where to find it. She created a task on her iProperty log app to alert her plumber, who got straight back to her. First, she must turn off the stopcock. Mrs. Bright was no DIYer, but her plumber knew exactly where it was. It was all there on the app, and talked it through with Mrs. Bright. Panic over. On the app, Mrs. Bright's plumber could not only see what the problem was, and even a photo of the leak, the app reminded him what the makes and models of the heating system were. He didn't keep those parts in the van, so collected them from the plumbing merchant on his way over. So when he arrived, he could fix it, all in one go. Wow! Meanwhile, Mr. Gray was trying to persuade his insurers that he needed urgent attention. Crash! His ceiling caved in. "Double confound it!" he yelled. Mr. Tennant's agent dispatched a plumber, who knew exactly what to do and where to go, because they both used iProperty log. It made the agent's job much easier, and meant the plumber had fewer wasted journeys, so both he and the agent could get more done each day. Even though he'd never been to the property, he could see what the system was and had already worked out how to fix it by the time he arrived. Mrs. Bright's plumber quickly sorted the rest, and Mr. Tennant's plumber too. The street lights had turned on by the time Mr. Gray's plumber arrived. Then they had to look for the stopcock. 20 minutes later, the water finally stopped spurting. What a mess! Later, Mrs. Bright and Mr. Tennant enjoyed swapping stories of the day. It really hadn't been such a problem after all. Even the insurance company was pleased, because the damage was much less than it might have been. No need to put up Mrs. Bright's premium, and the agent and the plumbers and the insurance company got busy spreading the word about iProperty log and making sure that as many of their customers as possible used it. Everyone was a winner. Oh dear, Mr. Gray is still rather grey, but you can't help everyone.